Hi, this is Jonathan Manuel here with the HR Engage podcast. And I'm really excited today to have Rae Headey here with me. Hey, Rae, how you going?
Wonderful, Jonathan. How are you?
Good. I'm having a fantastic day. I'm sure you're having a fantastic day. Now, Rae, you've got such great experience in the not-for-profit space, in particular. Um, you've been in HR for a good period of time, and I could go through a laundry list of all your achievements, but I thought I want to hand over to you and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, about me, Jonathan, I love dancing anywhere,
Whoa.
anytime.
Okay.
I can't sing for quids, but I'm definitely happy to dance anywhere. Um, I actually went on a 3-day leadership program at Cradle Mountain in Tasmania a little while ago. And
Beautiful.
it was beautiful. And one of the activities was to present for 5 minutes about anything. So getting up in front of a group and presenting something. So I'm not a lover of standing up in front of people and presenting. So what I did was, instead of using a PowerPoint or speaking
Hmm.
about my life, I put on some music and taught them all to dance. So
Wow.
that was my way of getting through that. But besides that, besides being general manager of people and development, I am a wife. I'm a mother to an 11-year-old boy, daughter to my 82-year-old mum, who is amazingly active and camping as we speak.
Oh, wow.
Um, I live in inner city Brisbane, but I grew up on acreage, so riding bikes and shooting guns and exploring the bush. And I got into HR quite late, to be honest, and had quite a few careers before I got into HR. So things like being a beauty therapist, I own my own business,
Whoa,
worked
whoa. I,
for a
I
bank.
want to hear about this
Yeah.
journey a little bit more. So wait on. You're a beauty therapist. Yes.
Hmm.
What else?
Yeah.
What other roles did you have?
I owned a supermarket um, and a dental supply company. I worked for a bank, and then I worked in direct mail marketing. So I did all of that before then finding HR, and haven't looked back or sideways since then.
Rae, I've known you for many years, and I actually don't know any didn't know any of that stuff. I'm very surprised. So from like that, that's a long list of things that you've done prior to getting to HR. I suppose tell me, like, what was that journey like? I mean, they're different industries. I assume different skill sets.
Mm.
Maybe a question. I mean, what was the most rewarding or challenging ones that you did?
Well, I guess it was probably when I was working in and this was another role, was in an executive assistant role, and I
Yeah.
started, I guess, dabbling in HR tasks. So that really piqued my interest in HR.
Ah.
So I did a diploma in HR
Hmm.
at that point. And then I worked for a recruitment company as a HR administrator. I then thought, well, I need to get some more experience, so I should probably try and do some temp roles in different
Yeah.
organizations. So I did a short stint with TEAS, and then I went to work for a not-for-profit organization. And this turned into me being offered a permanent HR
Yeah.
officer role. And then within 6 months, the HR manager role was offered. So I was really green, really, really green. And there hadn't been a HR team in place as such. So everything really had to be done from the bottom up. I was fortunate that the CEO brought in someone to mentor me, an external
Yeah.
consultant.
Yeah.
So the learning journey was quite rapid. Then at the same time, while working full time, I did a post grad in professional management.
Yeah.
So at that stage, then I was reporting to the CEO and on the exec team. I stayed then for about 5 years until leaving to have a bub. And then on my return to work, I specialised into a job share arrangement with another lady who was in the same circumstances. And my roles then were in quite a large organisation,
Hmm.
which was my first really big organisation, and went into roles such as HR advisor in leadership and organisational development and HR advisor in engagement and capability.
Yep.
I then stayed through a merge of that organisation, merging from about 1,500 to 10,000 employees. And that was a fascinating experience, seeing how an organisation of that size merged. Then I went into a business partner role, and then I ended up in the role I am now as general manager, people and in development. So the role was a HR manager role when I started,
Yep.
and it's now evolved to sitting on the executive team, so a seat at the table, and it encompasses HR engagement, organisational development, and training. And I have a team of 18 staff.
It's an amazing journey.
Mm,
And one of the things I just wanted to just pick your brain a little bit is that merger situation that you dealt with. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that are listening to this podcast or watching this video are about to go through this situation, are going through the situation, um, or have even gone through the situation. Um, do you have any sort of thoughts or comments on what it was like, the challenges you sort of met, dealing with large scale merger or large scale acquisitions?
mm. Yeah, I think that one of the keys is definitely, and I know it's, we talk about it a lot, but it is that
Mhm.
communication. It's letting
Yeah.
staff know from the beginning what's going to happen. It's consulting with the staff and taking them on that journey the whole way. People seem to prefer to know, even if it's in a stage where there seemingly doesn't seem a lot that's happening. It's still important to continue to communicate with them.
Yeah.
I think try and do it in a timely manner, because on the end of it, we've got, employees that are obviously worried about what's happening,
Hmm.
um, and have a clear process of what you're going to do. So you know what it may mean for the employees. So whether it could be, a different role, whether things stay the same, whether it's redeployment, or, whether it ends up to be a redundancy for a certain group of people. So just having that really clear plan on where you're going.
Those situations, in my mind, would seem to be quite complex. There'd be some politics around it. There would be a lot of noise,
Mm.
some rumors, whatever the situation might be. How do you, I mean, you talk about the communication piece being the processes, of course, for sure, but that communication piece being essentially the key to that.
Mm.
How did you really keep that in line, that communication really on task and focused with all that sort of noise? And some of it's quite relevant, by the way, all that noise around you.
So planning from the start, so doing a
Mm,
project plan with really clear timelines as to when you'll be doing what stage. So
yeah.
from notifying the staff initially, this is what we look like now, this is what we're going, what we want to achieve, what it will look like at the end of the process, so that they can see that timeline, and then everything in between. So whether it be communicating out by email, weekly, fortnightly, whatever it may be, having somewhere that they can go for all those questions that they might have. So having an open line, so that they know that they can have, they can bring those questions forward, answering them as quickly as you can, and then starting those consultations too, so that I think at least if employees know, well, I'm having a one-on-one consultation about just me and my role, that can, help the anxiety of what a change may mean.
Hmm. Okay. I mean, and those actually make a lot of sense. And I just want to pick up one more part that you talked about, which is part of your journey. And when you're quite lucky when you first really got into HR, you were quite, I mean, that HR manager role, sorry, you were quite green, you said, but you were
Mm,
very lucky that the CEO backed you and had some type of consultant or someone third party to assist. I suppose what were the first types of things that you worked with your consultant to lay the foundation going forward for that organization?
mm. I think one of the things that I remember that stands out for me was,
Mm,
particularly in those performance management areas,
yep,
is to not take it personally. So to be able to look at it with more like, yes, with empathy and compassion, but to also ensure that you're going through it with a process, and ensuring that you are doing everything correctly and fairly for the employee, and obviously correctly in regards to the legislation also.
yep.
So just having really clear processes through that journey.
The It's starting to come through here. Communication processes are sort of key parts of, I mean, your not just your journey, but potentially something the way you think about the philosophy of HR. Before I sort of go into that a bit more detail, why are you passionate about? I know you're not in a HR manager role. You're not in a more general manager role now that encompasses not just HR but other facets of dealing with people. But why are you passionate or enjoy human resources?
Well, I love seeing an organization succeed through its
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
I do enjoy seeing people grow and develop. Without people, what is an organization? The people are so key, and
yeah,
I do feel though that it's quite a big responsibility to
mm,
encourage employees to be engaged and happy at their workplace. I myself enjoy coming to work, and I think our working years are for most are quite long. So why not, enjoy what you do?
yeah,
Um, I love the variety. I think if you want a routine role, and knowing what you'll work on every day, that in the HR remit, this role definitely isn't that. It can change very, very quickly. You might have your day planned out, but it'll change quickly. We're dealing with people.
yes,
Um, I guess too, I've also enjoyed, the journey of working through all the various roles as I've progressed to the general manager role. I do think that it is imperative to become a specialist in each role though before you are jumping higher. Um, and I guess one of the things that I love about my role now, though, is the ability to influence the organisation to make those sound decisions related to our people. So to understand the metrics to make informed decisions, and understand where we can constantly add value. Um, to be able to pivot and change whatever we're doing, keeping to best practice, but I think adding that value, and changing if things aren't working.
yeah,
Something I guess my team and I talk about all the time is to do things with purpose and make sure that we add that value for the customer. Um, I do think that within HR, it's about making all our employees' days easier. So, not having them wrapped up in a lot of processes, but those
mm,
processes to be easy
yeah.
for them.
Um, Enjoying what you do, that variety, um, and obviously having that now that ability to influence the organization, to make changes at a strategic level seem to be something that you really enjoy. But I've met your team as well, Ray. Got a mix of really, really experienced
Mm,
people who have got specialties, got people that are just super enthusiastic, and naturally talented, skilled. You have a mix in your human resources team of that. Was that deliberate? Did you deliberately look at putting that team together in that way? Did you strategically look at that, or was that because it was more to do with, um, they were the people that were sort of available that sort of fit those spots, or is it a mix of both, I suppose?
I think over time, as we've
Mm.
grown, as the HR team has grown, we've definitely looked more for specialist skills than at the beginning. And I guess that's inherent with growth as well, that we have then branched out into different areas. So
Yeah,
rather than having a generalist that does everything. We have HR advisors, we have an all development unit within us, we have recruitment. So as we've expanded and matured, we've definitely, I guess, gone into more of the specialist type roles and looked for those key skills within that person. Uh, but I also think too, we've gotten to a stage now where I was, just talking to the team the other day about whether, then we at the stage now we could start to then look and bring in a graduate who's got that fresh,
mm,
knowledge. So it's exciting to be at that stage where we can look at these things now.
yeah,
But yes, I think it has been. I think culture's a big thing and team fit as well.
yes.
So we always keep in mind the team fit. Um, but yeah, feel lucky with my team. We've got a really good mix, I think, of skills in there.
That team fit seems to be very important to you,
Yeah.
and I want to just expand on that just quickly. What do you, when you say team fit, what are you looking for? I know there's a lot of books and there's a lot of content and there's a lot of
Yeah.
videos out there that say, hey, this is what we should be looking for, culture. But what do you specifically look for in a team fit?
Well, apart from the knowledge and skills
Mm,
that they can bring, um, team fit. It's as simple as looking and listening to them as to what they can also bring from, I guess, a personal point of view. So,
yeah,
I don't think within any team, you want to have that mix. You want to have some louder people, some quieter people, some people that love to do the event side of things, others that are quite happy to, do that work where they're not actually involved with others as such. It's more that kind of process work. So
yep.
it's a real mix of all of that, and they're all so different, really. When I think about it, they're all so different in their
So
own
you
way.
want dancers and non-dancers? Is that what you're saying? You want dancers and non-dancers?
Oh, Jonathan, that's one of my questions at the end of my interview. I end with, and how do you feel about dancing? If they laugh, they're in. If they don't
Ah,
laugh, whoa!
that's the final hurdle. That's the final hurdle they got to get over.
It is. It is the shocked looks I get.
I wanted to one of the things that we do here on this podcast, because there's many types of people listening to this podcast and watching these videos. There's a lot of people that are just entering human resources. There's people that have been in different industries or different types of roles, let's say operations or finance or something like that, and they want to move more into human resources. I wanted to ask you if you could sort of think about the more green you, or if you could time travel back to your early career you,
Mhm.
early career Ray, what advice would you have for them?
One of the things I wish that I had done was actually go to uni straight after school.
Mm,
It was tougher doing it while I was working full time. However, um, if you are in that position where you're doing other roles and then looking to make the jump, I do think that um, some qualifications behind you is definitely worthwhile, and I think necessary. Probably
so
reading and
education qualifications, you think is quite an integral piece to grow in a HR career?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think so, and I think also keeping up to date as well.
Hmm.
Um, it's
On what up to date on
well, I
HR in
mean, there's
general, or
there's always things that are changing within
yeah,
legislation and also within organizational development is now
Yes.
quite a growing area, whereas, back when I started, it wasn't so much.
Hmm.
I think there's always things to keep up to date with the latest trends, data, legislation, um, and that's probably the other thing that I'd recommend is self-lead yourself to actually educate. So don't solely rely on an organization that you're working for to do it. So be
Hmm.
proactive and join, places like the Australian Human Resources Institute, read books, view webinars, um, could find a good mentor and build a long-term relationship with them. And then I guess once then someone's in a role is, I think one of the key things for me anyway is if the employee like learns the communication style that's going to work between both of us, because I just
Yeah.
think that makes the job easier. It makes them shine and it adds value as well. So, how much you want to be contacted and when and how that can happen.
That's a really good piece. So you talk about education, and then you talk about as well the having a mentor, um, your communication style as well. Those are really key pieces for an early career person in HR. I suppose on the flip side or on the other side, you've also got people who are really in the depths of it. They've been in
Yeah.
human resources for a while. They're currently in human resources. They're potentially in sort of intermediate or even senior, very senior roles. What are the two big pieces of advice would you have for them?
Yeah, I think as I probably briefly mentioned, is becoming a specialist within the role that you're doing.
Yeah.
And that could be attending conferences and webinars, building a base of other HR contacts so you can brainstorm and share and learn from.
Yes.
So that's when you add the real value, I think, when you are really knowledgeable and people know you're the go-to person, to go to. The other thing which has been a game changer for us, is actually and not just saying this, Jonathan, because you're online, but has been a game changer, is finding a good lawyer who specializes in employment law. Um, we have done that and the message from my team and it's been a really valuable service to have, and it's because it's a comfort for us that we know we've got the backing of
Yep.
experts within the law. Um, it's also been a learning experience because it relates not only the decision on what you're doing, but relates it to the award or the agreement that
Yeah.
you're using, and again that legislation. And I think it's actually elevated our offerings to our customers. Um, so that's at certainly at the level where I am now, that's been one of the best things I think that we have done.
I think building capability in a human resource team is one aspect, and then
Yeah.
also that strategic support. It's something that I like personally myself. I enjoy doing that. And thanks for that shout out, by the way, Ray. Appreciate that. But I mean, it's something that is really, I think, important, integral, to have those aspects there. There's always going to be best practices and all those types of things, but how does that practically work in the organization? How does it work with the resources you have? How does it work with the people you have? I mean, even upward management as well. Is it going to work with the leadership that you're dealing with? Those are all different questions that you're not necessarily going to have an answer to, and you
Mm,
might need that little bit of assistance. um, and it's not just about capability. I think everyone talks about, well, you got to have. It's, that's one part of it. I think that's only. I think it's only one part. There's many other facets, and I think that's a really good
mm,
piece of advice for those that are listening at home.
mm. Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a value add for the team as well because
Mm,
it has increased their capability also, by being able to, as I was saying, like match the decision we're doing to what's behind all of that as well.
Mm,
So, um, yeah, it's definitely makes I guess gives us a sense of comfort.
yeah. I suppose that understanding of why as well, right? The
Yeah,
understanding of why we're going to make this decision, why we're doing this, because then they're able to then relay that quite easily, communicate that quite easily to people, um,
absolutely,
up and down.
absolutely.
Like it's much an easier conversation.
And it can
Now,
put it into normal language for us as well.
yeah,
You can read through all of the information, but the beauty is actually having it then translated into, okay, this is how I can talk to the manager about
yeah.
this as well. It's that nice medium.
I think being practical is, I think, one of the main facets that you need to have in any sort of HR team. I think you guys do it really, really well. Um, but I think I want to go. I also want to ask you a question because human resources, people and culture has. I mean, we know there's so many facets. There's recruitment. There's industrial relations. There's people retention. There's all types of. I mean, organizational well-being, organizational development. There's so many parts to it. In in your view, what is the biggest challenge you're facing now, and how are you tackling it?
So one of the challenges that we found we were facing is that we had been promoting our in particular first time managers without any training or support.
Mm,
So they'd
yep,
get this awesome promotion, and then we were just expecting that they had all the skills.
yep,
Also, we did an employee survey, and that was also showing that, just that area that it would probably be helpful if we could give more support. So we've started a project developing a capability framework, which
yep,
links to our learning and development framework, um, encompassing an emerging leaders program. So it's a big project, but the end goal is for everyone in the organisation to have a professional development plan to enable them to succeed.
yep.
It's one of the projects I think that I'd always hoped that we would do at this stage, and I'm very lucky and thankful I've got a CEO that fully supports developing our people.
It's fantastic.
And I guess the thoughts is as well is if they do they do the leadership program and stay, we've got better managers. That's
Mm.
wonderful. If they do the leadership program and even if they end up leaving us, well, we have better capability out there in the community services arena. So it's a win-win for all.
This is a major discussion point that I'm having with a number of people, not just in human resources, not just in people and culture, but the um, but people who are in management positions or are being promoted to management positions who are technically excellent at what they do. There's a reason why.
Yeah.
Reason they've been great salesperson, great at dealing with customers, whatever the situation might be. But the management skill set um, is quite different to the technical skills, and in some respects, and I can think of certain industries which I'll not point out, but there are certain industries where actually they're at odds with each other. It's it actually doesn't quite mesh that well. In your space in community services, not for profit, that particular challenge, um, I suppose there's another overlay because the type of people that you're attracting that are attracted to that area, um, they have certain views or certain ideology about how things should run. Is that something that also is difficult in trying to move those people into management or leadership positions? Is that also difficulty in terms of mindset?
I think within our industry,
Mm,
the main thing is people are really passionate about what they do,
yeah,
and that's why we're drawn to, the not for profit, the community services area. Um, I also think that, we're in that position where we don't always have a lot of funds to be, putting into some of these areas.
yeah, Yeah.
However, I mean, my vision, which I'd love to come true, would be for us to be able to have these programs to support the managers and start to be, one of those not for profits that does have that development for our employees. That they can come to us and know that that's what they'll get. We're happy to invest in them and make them the best they can be. So, yeah, we're really excited to have started on it, and looking forward to next year to rolling out this project.
Sounds really exciting. Um, I want to ask you a more controversial question. Um, what is the one thing about human resources or people and culture that people might disagree with you about?
I think I
Why are you
think
whispering? Why are you whispering?
no, I won't whisper. I'll just put it out there. I think one of the key things that's really hard is that when you're performance managing someone,
Hmm.
um, it needs to be kept confidential, as all HR professionals know. But we also hear a lot, well, nothing is happening, nothing's happening. They're not dealing with that person.
Yep.
Um, But we know behind the scenes, people are
Yes.
going crazy doing things.
Yes.
But because we have to be confidential, you can't say, oh, well, we've started doing, performance improvement plans. We've started doing, training with this person. We've got
Yes.
in a consultant. We can't say any of that. So it's really hard because how do you say that you're doing something without saying that you're doing something, So things are happening. Um, and I think, in time that
Yeah.
the proof will show that
Yes.
something's
Yes.
happening. But in the short term, that is one of the most frustrating things, I think, to hear. Um,
So your point is you want something that needs to be confidential for
mm.
various reasons, but you want it to not be confidential to the point that it shows that there is work being done.
That
Is that what you're saying?
that's right. That's right. That's right. Exactly. So it's if you are
Pretty much
performing,
every politician is doing this.
it does sound a bit like that, doesn't it? I think it's from the perspective of the employees, the other employees, if they're working
Definitely.
alongside someone, for instance, who isn't performing and they think, well, nothing's happening, that
Yeah.
person's still doing the wrong thing. However, there's work going on in the background, to try and uplift them, but the other employees mightn't necessarily know that. So, I think
Yeah.
sometimes HR can get accused of, not doing something, whereas it's happening. It's just we can't shout it from the rooftops all the time.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess the only
That's
other thing, sorry.
yes. You go on. Yeah, go on. Go on. Please, Ray. Please.
The only other thing that I often see and hear is I think that, there still is a little bit of that old thing of HR's, that hire and fire, but there's
Yeah.
so much more to it. And my view is that, we are HR professionals in a specialist field, and it may not be suitable for everyone. I do think though that, having some type of qualifications behind you is absolutely essential, and resilience and emotional
Yeah.
intelligence as well.
That's a really interesting point because there seems to be still a thought out there, actually not a thought, many thoughts out there that HR are just a hire and fire tool, right? And look, I know a lot of organizations that basically have that. That's what they have, and that's what they use it for. But it builds zero capability internally.
Yeah.
The capability of managers to actually manage their people is completely either very little or zero. And we know, and we can look at all types of data, that communication is probably one of the key points. If you look at pretty much any new legislation, right? Anything. pick psychosocial, pick sexual harassment, whatever. Communication is probably one of the key points to mitigate your risk and liability, right? And part of that is being able to have conversations, have different conversations. I think that's that. It's not necessarily lost. I think there's still this view that HR are going to be doing that, but the problem with that, and I think you sort of hit on this point, Ray, is that then that's all they are. That's all they are, and it's almost like transactional. It's a transactional HR, and then you see organizations that just have the same sort of issues sort of popping up, the same issues,
Absolutely.
same problems popping up.
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely, and particularly with all the new legislation that's
Mm,
come out, around sexual harassment, respect at work, the right to
yep.
disconnect. We've tried really hard to be on the front foot with all of those things because it does affect everybody.
Yes.
From the board down, it affects
Yeah.
everyone. So, it is about trying to, really keep your eye out for those things and then understand what you need to do, and as I say, try and get in on the front foot so that when then the date it's all released, that you're already, understanding what you
Yeah.
need to do and ready for
Yeah.
it. Yeah, and that takes resources, time, and as you say, communication as well. Communicating that to
I
out
think the
to
other part is
organizations.
mindset, right?
Mm,
The other part's mindset, isn't it, Ray? I mean, it's not just like communication is part of it, but also the mindset shift from people who really are in decision making positions to go, well, we want this to be, we're placing importance on this for various reasons,
yeah.
productivity, growth, whatever the situation might be. Um, that seems to be the other thing I've noticed, Ray. What's your thoughts on that mindset shift that's required?
Yeah, I think so, and, I think it's up to, us within HR to be on top of this
Mm,
for our managers because they're out there doing what, they've got so many other things to do, and
yes.
they're obviously a specialist, for instance, in community services. They're a
Yep.
specialist in that program and they've got all of those things to do there. So from, a management perspective and in regards to legislation, I think that's our role to be able to educate them and help them through that. So they're not going to, unknowingly, do the wrong thing. So
Yeah.
it sits with
Makes sense.
us. Yeah.
I'm going to switch it a little bit now. So, tradition on the HR Engage podcast is we have this rapid fire section, question section. So,
Right.
basically, all I do is I ask you a couple of questions. You tell me the first thing that comes to your mind, and that's how we do it here. How does that sound?
That sounds fine. I'm ready for it.
Well, whatever you're going to say, I was going to continue going anyway. So,
Yeah, thought you might.
okay. So, firstly, what is your favorite movie?
Outlander. It's a TV series set in 1700s,
Yes,
family
my
orientated, but about optimism and changing the future.
got time travel. It's
Time
got
travel, yes, time travel.
history. It's got
Yeah,
romance. It's got all types of stuff.
it has.
Violence.
It has. Yes, it has actually. Like, oh, it's not sure what that says about me, but yeah, it is. It's
Well, I don't know many people that love that. That's a good shout. I mean, not a movie, but hey, it's
TV
okay.
series.
It's a
Yeah,
great TV
you,
series.
you got to commit to it.
Holiday destination. What's your favorite holiday destination?
To be honest, I don't have a favorite as I like to go to different places every time.
Hmm.
I'm not really someone that goes back to the same place every year.
Yeah.
Um, so some of my favorites though probably have been Mexico,
Oh,
um,
okay.
Papua New Guinea,
Oh, okay.
and
PNG. All right.
Fiji.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a class. That's a
yeah,
classic.
can't
I
go.
mean, the first two weren't classics, but that third one was a classic.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. Most people have been to Fiji or Bali, haven't they?
That's right. Um, apart from family and friends, who has inspired you the most?
So this would definitely be. a mentor that I've had for, I guess, about 15 years now.
Yep. Yep.
Um, a lady who started up Amavita International.
Okay.
Um, and I guess the reason for me is that I love her energy. I love her passion for helping others within, her work. Her coaching abilities I admire, and just general, zest for life, to be honest. And so yeah, she's been a mentor for me for about 15 years. So she'd be the person that inspires me.
And are you able to tell us the name of this person?
Yeah, so it's Tracy Harris from Amavita.
Wow. Okay. So Casey might be getting a few calls and after after this session, inspired you. That's pretty incredible. Gosh, I might get in touch with her.
Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
I recommend.
Now, what is the thing you do outside of work that you're passionate about or keeps you going? Now, we heard about the dancing. Is that the thing? Is that the thing that keeps you going?
It is the thing. I just started doing some dancing classes. I don't know what I'm doing, but we just learn dances and don't care what we look like. It's just a great relief, to
What type of
release.
dancing? What type of dancing is your thing?
It's just contemporary dancing to the latest pop song or rock song that's out.
Wow, this is amazing. No, that's fantastic. So do you go every week, every fortnight? What's
Yeah, it's
your
it's every week. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fantastic?
Now that my little boy's a bit older, he doesn't tend to like to do the Friday night dances anymore with me, so I've had to find a class.
Oh, that's excellent. That's excellent. Um, Now tell us something about yourself that people don't know about you.
So, um, I used to work on a yacht in the United States as a stewardess, a cook, and a deckhand.
Oh my gosh.
We were based in Rhode Island and Florida, and just kind of
Yeah.
traveled from down into the Bahamas up to the top. And
Hmm.
hands down, I would say it was the best job that I've ever had. It does give HR a run for its money.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Look, for my sins, and my wife has dragged me to a lot of these reality TV shows that with the I can't remember what they're called, deck something or upper deck or something like
Oh,
that. Um, and yeah, I mean, if it's if wow, half the things that happened there, hey, I can see why you had a lot of time. Great, it was a great time. I'm sure it was a good time. Um, and I suppose as well, like that whole the traveling, and that's why you said that you like that variety. So
Mm.
you were going in the Bahamas like constantly. Was that
Oh,
yeah, right.
yeah. There's a link,
Amazing.
isn't there, to HR? It's like variety, no routine. Yeah.
There wouldn't have been any routine there, would there? Wouldn't be too much anyway.
No, definitely not.
um it's been fantastic to have a conversation with you, and I thought let's just close off with a few last questions. Ray, if you could recommend a book, movie, TV show, podcast to listeners, considering listeners here are in the HR and people and culture space, what would it be and why?
Well, this one's an oldie, but I think it's a good one.
Mm.
It's the Rules of Work.
Oh,
So it's a
yeah.
book called The Rules of Work. It's really a definitive code for, I guess, for personal success by
Hmm.
Richard Templar. Um, the reason I like it, it's a no nonsense, easy read book that
Yep.
basically gives, as the title says, how to be at work. So how to walk your talk, how to dress, how to plan, how to be diplomatic, how to shine, how to look after yourself, all of those things.
Yeah.
For an example, one chapter says, if you can't say anything nice, shut up. So, you know, it's it's just quite an easy read, and it's got all the basics in it, I think.
Um, Great. That's a great book. I think that's a great shout for that book. I think it's
Mm.
one that if you haven't checked it out, go check it out. It's a good book. Um, Ray, is there a quote or a moment of inspiration you would like to leave us with?
Yeah, I thought hard about this one. So, there is a quote. It's by Sylvester Stallone, actually.
Okay, so out of all the people, you thought
Yeah,
about this for a while and said Sylvester Stallone. That's the one I'm going to go with. Okay, let's
that's the
hear it.
one we're
Let's hear
going
it.
with. And it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So I think the reason that this quote resonates with me is I do believe that a key capability in HR's resilience.
Mm,
You see and hear so many things, and I think it's so imperative to show that strength and resilience, and to show up every day with a smile and aiming for better. It could also be because one of my values is positivity. It's
yeah,
about, uh, we've all got things that have happened and we've all got baggage, absolutely. But to try and look for a shining light in everything, it's not easy. I think it's
yeah.
much easier to go down the negative route, but positivity can be contagious, and it's got to start somewhere. So, why not with you?
That's a really good one to leave us with. And your value of positivity, I think, is a really good one to shine light on. Throughout this whole conversation, it's very much been on that front foot. What can we do to do better? You talked about communication being a very key aspect to pretty much everything that we do in human resources space. Picking your team members, like having that team fit being integral. Seeing, making sure that you sort of get those qualifications, get that experience as a platform, have that mentor as a platform that can help you internally grow before you start to have that leading that team. And once you are starting to lead that team, resilience is going to be a key factor um, in what you do. Mindset's going to be a key factor. There's so many things that are happening constantly, but having that clear focus, and you talked about that acquisition or merger, where you had to be very clear, had to be focused. There was a plan. Plans change and strategies change, but
Mhm.
it was still, you had some clarity. I think that was really, really good to get those points across today. And from someone who's got a journey that's actually, quite different, getting to HR quite late, you've seen quite a lot more. I mean, hey, you've been in the Bahamas, on the ship and doing all that type of stuff as well. It's such an interesting perspective, considering how much has changed in HR. That your perspective still is sort of key parts, key moments, and I think it's been fantastic. So that resilience piece that you left us with, I think, is something we can all come back with. Um, Rae, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for giving up your time. I'm sure a lot of people who've been listening to this or watching this video have got a lot out of it. So thank you so much, Rae.
Thanks for having me, Jonathan.
So that's it for me. That's Jonathan here on the HR Engage podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure as usual. Speak soon.